What's going on, everyone? Alex Hormozi here, founder of Gym Launch, Allen, Prestige Labs, and owner of a couple other companies. And today, I'm going to talk to you about how to sell some stuff. All right. So there's three types of questions. I think I've talked in other videos about how to structure your sales conversations, but I haven't talked as much about the nature of the questions and the types of responses that you're getting. Right. And so in a sales process, right, you have some questions that are going to be mining questions, that's trying to extract information from the prospect, and the remainder of the questions are questions to get agreement, right? So you're going to put a proposition out there and ask for agreement, right? And then if you get enough agreements, it's going to be natural that they're going to want to move forward working with you. Now, the way that you structure these questions, all right, I would say that you have yes-based questions, you have neutral questions, and then you have negatively inclined questions, all right? First time I heard about this from Chris Voss. He's the guy who does he wrote the book, Never Split the Difference. Really interesting stuff. And so a yes-based question would be like, sound great? Yes, that sounds great, right? A neutral type of question would be like, fair enough? Does that sound fair? Does that sound reasonable to you? Right? They'd be like, well, that sounds reasonable. Now, it's still technically a yes-based question, but the question that we're asking has a neutral tone to it. All right? Because we're not saying, hey, is this the most amazing thing you've ever heard of? Like, do you think this is the most amazing program, the amazing product, like, blah, blah, blah? That's asking a lot of someone, right, for them to agree to that. So that would be a harder yes to get. It's easier to get something like a reciprocal yes, which I would say, someone says, you know, that's a lot, and we say, no worries, what if we did this? Fair enough. They say, well, he made a concession, that sounds fair. Or if we did this, does that sound reasonable? Does that sound like a fair expectation? Yes, it does. Great, and then you can go to close the sale. And if you've heard any of my past sales stuff, one of my favorite closes, which I got from Jordan Belfort, is fair enough, right? I just love this close so much because it's like, fair enough, right? You make a concession, fair enough. And so many times people are like, well, they made a concession and I'm a reciprocal human being. It's very hard for me to deny this request. And so yes, I do believe it's fair. And then you say, boom, then let's move forward, right? But this is one that I learned very recently. That I really like, and when I look back through my actual conversations, I do this, and that's why I think it's so interesting because I'm gonna level with you really quickly. All the people that I know who teach sales are natural born salesmen, which is interesting, right? They're natural born salesmen. I don't know a lot of people who teach sales who weren't naturally very good at it quickly, right? And so there are some things that people naturally do because they've had a lot of experience doing it. And usually you get a lot of experience doing it because when you start doing it, you get enough success that you can steamroll, right? And grow and get a lot of volume. And then once you do lots of volume, then you become a master at it. But you had some sort of inclination or proclivity towards the skill, all right? That being said, it doesn't mean that anyone else can't become a great salesman. It just means you might have to have more reps to get there. Now, that being said, no-based statements. This is actually where you go in opposition, right? And so the reason and the psychology behind this, per my understanding, and it makes complete sense to me at least, is that people feel safer saying no. People feel like they retain their autonomy. They feel like they're at ease. It's harder, especially like you think about decision fatigue. At the end of the day, people don't want to be responsible for anything. They don't feel vulnerable to saying yes and agreeing to something, right? Instead, they prefer to say no and stay safe, right? But if you phrase your questions properly, you can get people to say yes by saying no, which is one of the most powerful sales tactics I shared in a different video where Richard Schwartz taught me how to get someone to say yes by saying no. Hey, you don't want anything else, do you? No, I don't want anything else. And by doing that, they got 95% of people to take an upsell. All right? Now, no-based question. This is something like, would you be opposed to moving forward today? Would it be completely unreasonable for us to get started at the end of this conversation? Would it be completely out of left field for me to say that we should start working together today? So it's all of these, would you be opposed to? Would you be against? Would it be unreasonable, right? All of those things are no-based kind of antecedents, or precedents that lead into a no-based question. And so think about this. If I said, and I'm going to give you the same kind of scenario here. If I'm trying to get my wife to go where I want to go to dinner, right? Because I want to go to Cheesecake Factory, the finest establishment in the land. All right, count it. Get the Cajun chicken littles. You can get them half grilled and half fried, and get the sauces from the Thai lettuce wraps. Anyways, if I say, hey, babe, you want to go to Cheesecake Factory? She might be like, well, no, I don't want to go to Cheesecake Factory. right? Or like, I'm not really sure, right? Now, if I switched that and I said, babe, would you be against going to Cheesecake Factory? You're like, well, I'm not against going to Cheesecake Factory. And I'm like, great, let's go. And so that's the beauty of a no-based question. See how different it's phrased, right? And if I say, hey, you excited to move forward today? That's a yes, right? It's harder to get someone to say, yes, I'm excited to move forward today. Would you be opposed to moving forward at the end of the conversation? No, I'm not opposed to moving forward. Great. And we get the sale. And so this is really interesting because what I find, because there's lots of literature on getting people to say lots of yeses and trial closes and things like that throughout the sales process. But in my mind, these are all still ways of getting agreement, which is the goal. So it's simply using psychology in terms of how people like to respond to things, how they feel in the moment of saying yes makes them feel vulnerable, saying no makes them feel safe, and leveraging that. Now that being said, it doesn't mean every single question you have to ask has to be a no-based question. But I think if you can rephrase a couple of the key milestone questions that you have in your sales conversations, or if you feel like you're kind of closer to the edge with someone, leaning towards a no-based question I think is something that natural salesmen do well automatically. Like, is it unreasonable for us to move forward today? Right? Would you be opposed to moving forward today? Would you be opposed to knocking out the paperwork? Would you be opposed to, are you against XYZ, right? Well, no, I'm not against it. All right, let's rock and roll, right? All of these are still ways to get questions. And so I think that in some of my sales scripts right now, we're going to be shifting from fair enough close, which is so wired in my brain from doing it so many times, to some no-based phrasing because it's easier to get agreement with prospects, especially even if they're kind of fatigued at the end of the day, or which is when people are less likely to want to say yes to things. Counterexample there could be decision fatigue and they just want to say yes to get done with it, right? Depends on the size of the person.
Have you ever looked at yourself in the mirror and thought, wow, I should be further ahead by now? If you're trying to make money online or start your first business and feel overwhelmed, you're not alone. Every day you see other people succeeding and you wonder, why am I not succeeding? Maybe you don't like your job or you're unfulfilled. You want to do something you love and make money, but you feel stuck, bored, confused, or maybe all three. I get it. I spent years in the exact same spot, afraid to fail, but ashamed of being afraid. And it wasn't until I paid another business owner to teach me how to run a local business that I felt comfortable starting my own. He showed me the ropes and gave me the confidence to start. And after scaling my local gym chain from learning this stuff from him, I started a company called Gym Launch, which I sold years later for $46.2 million. Now, what I want to do is repay the favor. I want to show you the ropes the exact way that business owner did for me. And as the person with the largest community on Skool, which I'll tell you about in a second, I can show you exactly what to do. You can start your own online community business today with all the things I didn't know when I started my first business for free with the Skool games. So imagine building a business being as easy as playing a video game with step-by-step instructions, live workshops, real-time leaderboards, and new friends to make it fun. If all that were true, would you at least be interested? Okay. Now, you might be wondering, well, what exactly is Skool? How do the Skool games work? How much does it cost? Do I need to be an expert? Do I need an audience? What are the prizes? Great questions. Let me break it down for you. Skool Games is a fun, easy way to build your online business. No experience or followers needed. Just simply choose a painful experience you overcame, something you find interested or you're passionate about, or some skill you learned throughout your career, no matter how small. It could be as simple as a better way to organize folders, or meal prepping for kids who have food allergies, or travel hacks. And then all you have to do is just invite people to community about overcoming that pain, following that passion, or learning that skill. And we'll show you exactly how to build it and monetize it on your first try. Now, if that sounds insanely simple, that's because it is. So check it out. More than 1 out of 2 people who start a paid community in Skool make money. That means by your next reunion, instead of answering, what are you up to these days? You could be answering, how'd you do that? And could you help me? And the thing is you probably could, because it's not that hard. Right now, people are paying hundreds, sometimes thousands to get into digital communities the same way they do nightclubs or cafes. Just think about it as a place where lots of people who want to talk about the same stuff can gather together, and people pay to get in. And the crazy thing is people are selling courses and coaching programs for thousands and tens of thousands on how to build a business like this because it's so profitable. But what if there were a faster, easier, zero-risk way to learn how to do this for yourself? What if you could learn how to start, scale, and monetize an online group the right way on your first try for free? Would you at least consider it? All right. So for those of you who want more out of life, an online community takes the least amount of time to get started. You can literally make money in hours. It requires the least skill. If you can invite people to a party, you can make this business work. And you don't need to be an expert. You just invite those people and let them do the heavy lifting for you. It's kind of like Wikipedia. Wikipedia is not the expert at anything. They just bring the people together and then they are the online de facto experts. It's even faster than building a course or starting a coaching program because you don't need to have all the answers for that exact reason. Interested yet? Good. Because School Games was designed to smash through every obstacle that once stood in the way of starting an online business. It's why we have such an insanely high success rate. We've obsessed for years about removing everything that stops people from succeeding. And that's why with the School Games, you can succeed without an audience or expertise. Because let's face it, most people don't. And so we had to figure out a way to help people win. And of the 5 out of 7 communities I talked about earlier who won the School Games in their first month, only 2 of them had organic followings before they started. You don't need any fancy software, calendars, payment processing. Everything you need is already built into Skool. And you don't even have to know what your community is going to be about yet. I'll show you how to pick it. It's simple, and you can do it in less than 20 minutes. And if you're wondering, well, how do I get people invited to my community? Don't worry, you don't have to ask people you know. We've made it simple to crowdsource your community, just like Evelyn did through Skool itself on the millions of users we already have on the platform. As for tech skills, you don't need any. If you have the technology to watch this video right now, you already have all the tech you need to start, scale, and succeed. So what happens if you sign up right now? Well, you'll follow our process, you'll build a paid community about whatever it is you love, and if you become one of the top 10 communities on the leaderboard, you'll join me and other successful community owners here in Vegas. And even if you don't win the first month, you get to keep competing every month until you win. And then you can join all the alumni and all the past winners to get to the next level. Worst case scenario, you join, you do nothing, you decide to quit and walk away with thousands of dollars worth of knowledge that you can take with you on whatever business venture you want next. Best case scenario, you take a zero risk move and change your life forever. Or maybe you're just like Kyle, who's never won the games, never got in the top 10, and just built a community that makes him $4,664 a month in recurring revenue. He didn't win any awards, but would 3, 4, 5 grand a month change things for you? If so, then you're in the right place. Remember, the only guarantee is that if you don't take the shot, you'll stay exactly where you are. But if you do, you could be the next one coming out to Vegas celebrating how quickly you built an online business with consistent monthly recurring revenue. You in? Click the button below to join the School Games now. If you join this month, I'll personally onboard you live. Sign up and I'll see you on our onboarding call on Monday. You can ask me whatever you want. Now, if you're worried about starting a free trial, we offer an unconditional money back guarantee. So if you finish your trial and you forget to cancel, just let us know and we'll refund you. All right, we just want people to win. And I'm going to say this one more time because it's important. 1 out of 2 people who start a paid community in Skool make money, with the average paid community owner earning $1,360 per month. You really can do this. Click the button and let's get started.